You mentioned, you're rattling through just some things that people need to be aware of. And you said something interesting. You mentioned about like business owners working with kids or hiring their kids or something like that. So that kind of resonated with me briefly because here in Iowa we have a lot of locally owned businesses, and their students or kids work with them to make a paycheck. I know I did that in high school. I worked at my dad, like I cleaned my dad's dental office. Sometimes I didn't clean my dad's
Interesting.
dental, So when is there something business owners can do that's favorable for taxation? And just to be clear, like I 100% believe in paying what I owe in taxes, 100%, because I believe in strong cities, strong states, strong communities. What I don't want to do is pay over what I'm supposed to pay, because I've actually been down that road. I switched years ago. All I did is switch CPA, and lo and behold, I was overpaying by like $5,000. So I want to pay for my fair share. I don't want to pay over. You know what I mean? So just a little disclaimer there. But what's up with the family, right? Like having your own son or daughter work for you. How is that a tax write-off? I don't understand that.
I agree with you, right? I'll pay what I need to pay.
Yep.
I'm not leaving tips though. That's for the restaurant.
Yes, I like that.
I'm not leaving tips. I'll tell you that.
I'll pay what I want to pay. I don't want to leave a tip for the government.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
Honestly.
I love that.
Yeah. So hiring your kids, and actually here in Iowa, we have a pretty sweet setup. So we are what's called a farming state. So basically you can hire your kids since birth. As long as they're breathing, you can hire them to work for you. Now, the way we do this is hiring kids gets you up to, this year, it's a little over 13,000. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's a little over 13,000 in tax deductions per child per year.
Really?
So if you have 2 kids, you can get up to 26,000 in deductions. 3 kids, 39, etc. Again, as we said earlier, don't have kids for tax deductions since you have them.
That's kind of also an ethical thing too.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm single now, but I do enjoy, the child making process every now and then. But don't have kids for tax deductions, that's for sure. So here's what you do if you have a small business in Iowa. Let's say, for example, first, you have to make sure you can afford it. If you're a small business, you're making $20,000 a year, you're probably not paying taxes, so you don't need to worry about lowering them, and you probably can't afford to pay your kids. So that's one thing. But the way it works is hiring your kids, there's a special exemption from the IRS, where basically if they're under 18 and it is the child of the owner, so not grandkids, not cousins, then it's tax-free. If they're under 18 and under the standard deduction, which is the 13 and change, as long as they make under that, they don't have to pay, I believe it's the Social Security tax? Don't quote me, I can't remember which ones are paired, but basically like the withholding taxes that come out, when you get your check, you don't have to pay those. So you as the child don't have to pay income tax. You get pretty much your entire check. And as the business owner, you are deducting the wages of your employee. So just like if you had a restaurant, right, you have a dishwasher, doesn't matter if he's 45 with 18 kids at home or if it's your own child who's under the age of 18. It's an employee, basically. And you asked earlier about documentation, what do we need? At least at our firm, the way we do it is with our clients, we have example contracts. We help them say, okay, what do they do for you? So actually, let's use you as an example, Justin. You mentioned your dad had a dental practice?
Yeah. He's retired now, but yeah.
Sure. And what did you do to help him? For example, did you ever sit in the front, kind of greet clients as they came in? Did you help carry things into the office, rearrange if he was moving or something like that?
Cleaning. I did a bunch of cleaning.
Absolutely. I hope he didn't make you do the bathrooms.
I did.
Worst.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But essentially, right, you have to clean your office. He could hire a janitor.
Yeah.
Or, since you're already doing it, he might as well just pay you. The business still gets a tax deduction. You, as the child, you get money in your pocket. And as the parent, think about this. You're making your life tax-free, right? Because your dad, when you were a kid, he was going to pay for Little League. He was going to take you out to dinner. He was going to buy you clothes. He was going to buy you toys.
Right. Yeah.
Well, now he's your parent. He's on the account with you, your bank account. Well, what if now that wages that he paid you is now what you're using to buy a new bat for Little League?
Now, is this on top of, and this is another term I don't understand, but is this on top of a dependent write-off? Because I think you hear that I can write off my kids or something. Is this the same thing, or is this different because of a...
Yeah, so that's something different. to make sure we don't confuse people, I kind of want to leave that to the side.
Sure.
So yes, you're right. There are caveats depending on who can claim you as a dependent and how that works, right? If you're married or divorced, there's different things, who's legally on paper as the owner. So yes, like we said earlier, always make sure to consult your tax professional.
Absolutely.
But the gist of it is, as the business owner, you're hiring an employee. It happens to be your kids, and there are special exemptions from the IRS to where you don't have to pay, the child doesn't pay the taxes on it when they get their check. And then, like we said, you're deducting these. So essentially, right, you pay them wages. You use those wages to buy cleats for baseball, to take a girl on a date, whatever it is. Well, that money went into his account for a business before taxes, not after, right? In the scenario that your dad had, unfortunately, he was paying for all that stuff for you after already paying taxes. So that's the benefit, is you're getting it before the taxes hit. So that's one thing, I guess, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but right, as a W-2 employee, you get your check, money is gone, right? So you get paid, you get taxes taken out, then you spend whatever you have left.
Right.
Where business is a little bit different.
It is, yeah.
Right? You make your money, or the revenue, right? Then you spend it on anything. So you spend it on hiring your kids, you spend it on wages for other employees. You spend the money that you need to, then you pay taxes on what's left. So that's why we like to describe it as it's tax-free, because you're paying those wages to your kid before it gets taxed,
right?
Essentially.
Oh, sure.
So that's the benefit. So
sure.
You can hire your kids if you work in a restaurant. They can be your server. They can be your, well, maybe not bartender if they're not old enough, but a busboy is what I was thinking of. So yeah, you can do that, and you pay your kids. And think about this. Why do you think your dad had you go to the office? Like, yeah, to clean, but more parent-son, what do you think he was wanting to do?
Give me a job and experience, probably.
Yeah, but probably spend time with you also, right? Father-son time, bond, hang out.
Oh, I did that in the evening when it was closed. So he was at home.
Well, sure. But, But
yes, there was that too.
And so as a parent, you get to pay your kid to do real work for you, right? Whether it's helping you do paperwork like an admin, if it's working in a restaurant like as a busboy or something, right? If they're younger than that, here's an example for a company. If you are a family-owned company, like you brought up in the beginning, here in Iowa, well, family photo shoot. And now it's the photos that you put on your website, on your social media campaign.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's for the business.
Yeah.
And then if you have a few extra ones in clothes that are more normal, if it doesn't fit your marketing campaign, that's fine. Well, you still have them. But that's a business expense. You used it. Instead of hiring child actors or models, you hire your kids. Yeah. And again, this is all legitimate. This is all the IRS tax code.
I love the thing you said earlier, leave no doubt.
Yeah.
If you can't prove it, if an IRS agent's at your door saying, was this a business expense, and you can't prove it, or that conversation will be difficult, you're probably in a gray or a bad area.
Yeah. And we don't want that when it comes to the IRS.
They're not very forgiving, the IRS.
They're going to I'll tell you this, they'll side with themselves. They won't side with you.
If you want even more tax tips, make sure to sign up for our email list. Link in the description. You're going to get cheat sheets, all that, and then by the end of it, you're going to say, I'm switching to these guys and I'm getting rid of my CPA.